Right. Well, I just got the notification that we are currently live streaming.
Yes, we are.
Oh.
Looking at it right now.
So we are live.
Welcome, everyone. It's been a while,
at The holiday
and
from
a
us.
lot has been going on. New year, new
hmm
start for everything.
hmm Do you just curious, Lawrence, do New Year's resolutions?
You know what? I kind of do, but I've kind of changed the way I do my resolutions. What
Mhm.
I do is I look for things that are long term.
Yeah.
So, like for example, a couple of my resolutions this year is to actually I have a day job besides what I do.
hmm
My major goal is to turn what I'm doing now into my day job, um, as well as live a healthier life, meaning exercise a little bit more. Um, Trying to lose a little weight. I'm not even going to put a number on that because once you miss that goal, it's over.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So no actual numbers on there, just healthier.
How about you?
Yeah, I'm pretty much garbage at New Year's resolutions, quite honestly. I mean, I always go in with the best of intentions, and then I don't know. I think 11 days in, roughly, I go back to being the same old piece of crap I am for the rest of the year. So, I mean, but yeah, I mean, same though. Like, 'cause I was like, I'm gonna do dry January, right? Like, have you heard of dry January? Where
I
you
have, yes.
so and I do it. I've done it every year. And in fact, like I went in 2020, I decided to go all of 2020 without drinking. I did it. It was like not the best time of my life, but like it wasn't awful. I've, had a baby recently. So there's like 10 months right there of no drinking. So
hmm
way, as soon as I tell myself, you cannot do this, oh, it makes me want it so much more. So, in January rolled around, I was going to do dry January again and fail. And it was, I don't even think I made it a week. So I didn't. I didn't even make it like a whole week. So I was like, well, try again next year.
Well, you could just say that it was a test run and then just reset.
I mean, I could. If it was something I genuinely like cared about, I think I would hold true to it. But it's just not, it's nothing I actually feel like I really need to change about myself. So I think that's maybe where I didn't take it like seriously.
hmm
And then anything I really do need to change about myself, I feel like I probably haven't come to terms yet with. So
Yeah, I think when it comes to New Year's resolutions, they have to be challenging but also realistic.
yeah, for sure.
Um, like if you have a goal, let's say you want to lose 80 pounds,
hmm
not to say it can't be done, but the moment you fall off the wagon, it's over.
Yeah.
Um, that's why, I'm not putting a number on it. It's like, you
Mhm.
know, just see progress every month.
Yeah. Which sucks, like honestly, because I feel like I'm always perpetually like trying to just be healthier all the time. Like, and I hate it when people are like, it's a lifestyle, it's a lifestyle. And like I hate it, but it's true. It's true. It's a like you fall off the wagon, but like you have to recover from that and go back to eating your salads. And by for a few days after that, you're just like, I'm gonna eat whatever I want now.
Well,
But
even like when I'm in the office all day, literally, with the exception of a Greek restaurant near me, there are everything else is fast food.
yeah,
And even at the fast food places, very few, if any, even sell salads anymore. So
yeah,
it's literally almost impossible to eat healthy unless you either bring your food in, or you're at home and you can cook your meals. That's really the only way these days.
yes. No, I would agree with that. And I usually do bring my lunch to work. Um, but like there are just some days I don't want to. Like I do not want to make a friggin' sandwich in the morning. I just want to leave. So, I'll do like simple things like I'll bring soup, but then again, I just like how how good is soup, you
Well,
know?
you got to mix it up because if you eat the same thing over and over, it gets old very fast.
Totally does. It does. I mean, I'm one of those weirdos that I probably could eat the same thing every day for the rest of my life and be okay. And it's because I'm a hillbilly and I don't care like how things taste. Like I'm like, yeah, I'll eat that. Yeah, I'll eat that. I'll eat that. Like
Well, you can add different stuff to it too. You know,
yes, I just know like I am the outlier in like I don't need a big repertoire. I am a very unsophisticated palate. Would definitely eat same thing every day forever, just to simplify. I mean, I don't, but I really could.
I hear you. I hear you. Well, I would like to dive into. I don't know if you've heard about the Cat Williams thing going that's been going on for the last few weeks.
No, no. I mean, I think you maybe were the only one to sort of hint at something going on, but no, what is happening?
All right, now you know who Cat Williams is. He's a comedian.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
he's been in a lot of movies. Actually,
Big
a lot of
hair,
movies.
like
Hmm?
really red hair, and like he yells.
Yeah, he's like kind of short, real thin.
Well,
Um, he was in fact, did you ever see Friday After Next?
oh, Cat Williams. Yes. Yep. Yes. Yes.
So Cat Williams was on a podcast
Uh-huh.
and he was talking about I guess issues that he had with some big name comedians,
Okay.
we're talking like Steve Harvey, Tyler Perry,
Hmm.
uh, we're talking Kevin Hart. I mean, big guys in the industry.
What was his problem with
I don't know, but he was just talking about how primarily that, a lot of them steal other comedians' jokes,
steal what now? What?
other people's jokes.
Okay. Okay. Low blow, but okay. Sure.
So, and then all of a sudden, I was thinking, okay, it's been a day or two, but it just took on a life of its own. There's people, that's been putting up, I guess, there was a stand-up that Steve Harvey did years ago.
Hmm.
And do you remember Mark Curry? He used to play on Hang with Mr. Cooper.
Yes.
Okay. I guess he was doing a stand-up and there was a set he was doing. So they showed, a piece of that set that he did next to a set that Steve Harvey did. And it was pretty close,
Yeah.
yeah. So I guess, his beef is, about people, about comedians stealing other comedians' jokes, making money off of it. And then also he talked about how, a lot of our black comedians, kind of are almost alluding to selling out because they wear a dress in some of their movies or acting or whatever like that. And
Hmm.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I got mixed feelings on it.
Yeah.
One, I would kind of love to know what happened because
Yeah.
he's spitting fire right now. I don't know what happened. And then secondly is, like even with Tyler Perry, okay, Tyler Perry to me when I see him playing Medea, it's a
Yeah.
character. I don't
Uh,
think anything else. It's just a character. But every some people may not look at it that way.
what do they
But
look? What is
I
he?
mean,
What?
what do you think about that, Kristen?
That, I mean, I don't understand what else you could see besides a character. Like he really is trained like a cross dresser, or like what else? I'm like clueless on what the other aspect of that.
you know, I don't know. I guess basically kind of hinting to the fact that, um, they had to do that to further their career and, kind of, I don't know, borderline sellout, I guess. And
Oh.
like I said, everybody looks at things differently, but, even Cedric the Entertainer, I remember he did a comedy skit where he was like a lunchroom lady.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And again, I never read into it. I just looked at it as, they're
It's a
just
character.
acting.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of surprising. And it's not a lot of us that's really in entertainment on that level. I just kind of hate to see, you know, um, people of color going at each other like that. You know,
They're done like that.
I
Yeah.
I guess it just hits me a certain way because, obviously something happened for him to really spear off the way he is.
Mhm.
It would be kind of nice if they just kind of sat down and talked about it as opposed to airing that out on social media.
Right. And being very indirect about things.
Hmm.
I mean, as far as, yeah, that I'm like selling out, comedians have been doing impressions for eons. Like, and that's just, to me, it's just a character or it's an impression. Like, that's not
Yeah.
it's selling out. So, I mean, that's just a weird, interesting take on that. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like like, and there's celebrities, I feel like need to remember that they are also in a profession. Like, you would never speak badly, even like to a customer you're trying to steal, like about the service that they have already purchased and paid for with your competitor. Like
Yeah.
there are just certain professional things you just don't really do, even if you are a better, you do have a better offering. You still don't like go publicly and point your finger at your competitor and say, this is why this sucks and I'm better.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that he would choose to do that even when it's in no profession is that does that ever look good.
I mean, I guess the way I look at it is it all depends on you as a performer, what you
Mm-hmm.
feel comfortable with. Because one of the things that Denzel Washington said years ago, and Denzel Washington said, he took a gamble on his career because there were certain roles before he got big and everybody knew who he was
Mm-hmm.
that he just personally didn't feel comfortable doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a big risk because, he may not have made it to who we know who he is today, but he just knew in his heart there's certain roles he wanted to do. And
Yep.
I could sympathize with that because I remember years ago, I was actually offered a role to do a PSA. And
Mm-hmm.
basically, it was kind of a spoof on cheaters, but
Oh,
you were cheating with food.
okay, sure.
And the way the character that they wanted me to play was is like it was this guy who was cheating with food, supposed to be on a diet, but he's sneaking food or whatever. And they were kind of like, it was almost like to me like degrading and making fun of fatty this and that. I just
Yeah.
didn't like that
Mm-hmm.
personally.
Mm-hmm.
So and again, nothing wrong with the part. It just wasn't me, and I didn't want to go down that path.
Yeah, I totally get that. Yeah.
And again, there's some people, wouldn't bother them, whatever. I'm not going to judge because everybody has to make their own decision what they would do.
Yeah,
You know,
and some people, I mean, if that is your sense of humor, like then you don't find anything wrong with saying stuff like that. So you're comfortable doing it because you're like it's a joke. It's joking. We don't mean it. I would never really call an overweight person fatty. It's funny. It's a joke. And like that's how they could, justify doing something like that. Whereas no, I'm totally with you. Like I don't think I would ever be able to like fat shame somebody even as a joke, like unless maybe I was the bully character that at the end got my comeuppance and finally, the person I'm bullying gets the last laugh, then that's one thing.
yeah.
But yeah, for the whole concept, because I've definitely been that character. I've been the evil character in more than one performance. Um, but yeah, to just for the whole thing to just feel like you're like fat shaming is yeah, I wouldn't be comfortable with that either.
Yeah. And again, no knock to anybody that would play that, but it's just what you feel comfortable doing.
Yeah.
You know, like if
Yeah.
would I ever take a part or do something where I wear a dress? No, I don't see myself doing it. Now, do I look differently than someone else that does it? No, because again, everybody has to do what they feel comfortable with and within their art. And that's
Yeah.
on them. I'm not going to look at you any differently. I mean, everybody has different styles.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, again, if it's something that you think is funny, or I mean, it, could have started out with your family literally doing an impression of your aunt, them finding it hilarious, you thinking maybe I'll take this to my friends, see if they think it. I mean, it really couldn't just be something that, what? they didn't intend to be hilarious, but it is. And everybody's like, I get that because I have an aunt just like that too. And that's why it's funny. So no, I mean, I think for the most part, when it comes to like show business, it's all a show.
Oh yeah.
Really, it's all a show. So it's like, why are you judging anybody for putting on a show? That's what you're doing too.
Yeah,
So
because I know I saw someone had made a comment on social media that, well, it's just like, when someone does a cover of a song, and because I'm my son's business manager, I'm telling you, no, it's not the same thing. You remake someone's song without getting permission to pay them. Oh yeah, you're going to get sued. So
right.
so no, it's not the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I mean, I get the idea of I think you're so funny, I want to be like you,
Right,
but not like I think you're so funny, I want to steal your jokes. Like
right.
that's that's not a compliment. That's you're stealing.
Yeah, and you know what? I can understand why comedians who feel like their material was stolen kind of feel a certain way because they may look and say, "Wow, this person used my material. They're getting paid very well. It's helping their career, but it's my material and I'm not getting anything for it." So I could really see both sides of it.
I mean yeah, that I definitely can see that if I have your material stolen, 100% you are in the right to be pissed as hell. 100%. Like being mad and calling someone a sellout because they have a different style of, humor than you do, that's different. But I think anybody who gets their professional work stolen in any way,
Yeah,
it's 100% the right to be angry and make it public that their stuff is being stolen.
yeah. Like I said, I just hope that I hope it kind of dies down and maybe they work it out behind the scenes. Um, I don't know. I just think that it's kind of sad to see that.
Yeah, it is interesting seeing that side of people, when you like I mean like I know this is not really the same thing, but it's interesting, like, right, Fran Drescher, right? I know this is silly. Right, Fran Drescher, like the nanny. Um, Seeing her like her as the nanny, funny comedian,
Hmm.
like, and then seeing her doing some of the and I'd seen her in other interviews, but then seeing her do like the SAG negotiation where she was like cutthroat biatch, and you were just like, who
Wow,
would
really?
come from? Yeah, I mean, in the best possible way, like definitely standing up for actors and actors' rights and actors, health and what their well-being. But yeah, I mean, it's so interesting seeing someone that you really think you have like pigeonholed and seeing them in a different light. So I mean, with that was interesting. But I mean, this too, like seeing a comedian who's just really making jokes about stuff actually have real beef and really be taking that seriously. That's just interesting to see that, new side of them.
I used to watch that show that she was on, and I guess you're right. I kind of maybe mentally pigeonholed her, like, wow, really? Her? Because
Yeah.
she was just so sweet and everything like this, and
Goofy. She's so
I just wouldn't have pictured it, but
yeah, you wouldn't have, no. And I mean, she's so goofy, and she's kind of, I mean, sort of dumb-ish, in the show. Not like super dumb, but like just a
right.
little, clumsy, a little. And yeah, you wouldn't picture her. And then yeah, hearing her talk, about negotiations for SAG, it was like, you are a ball buster, and I love it. I absolutely love it. All right, so entertainment news. There is so much going on with award season. Um, did you happen to see? There's so many things to talk about with the Golden Globes. Did you see any of the Golden Globes?
You know what? I didn't get a chance to see it. No.
Oh my God, so many, like, so. I mean, obviously, a lot of great winners and performers. Um, but the MC is getting so much, well, it's started to die down, like blowback for some of his jokes.
Mm.
Um, right. So remember, like, Oppenheimer, the movie
Oh,
Oppenheimer,
yes. Hmm.
came out about the same time as Barbie, and
Yep.
Barbie fucking blew it out of the water with numbers. I mean,
Hmm.
insane. And so, they would call that weekend like the Barbenheimer weekend,
Yep.
you know. But so it was just interesting that at every turn, the Barbie movie was a butt of a lot of his jokes. Um, and like at one point, he was like, the movie Oppenheimer that is, nominated was based off of this, 770-page thesis by da 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 da. And Barbie is about a doll with big boobs. And it was like,
Yeah. Now that I do remember hearing that.
yeah. And I mean, and it was just like, you, like, that is the reason the movie was made. That is like, that's it. And I loved it panning the different areas of the audience, like the women, so many women in the audience were
Yeah.
like not even fake laughing at it. Like, and but it was just so interesting. He didn't come out and apologize for it,
Hmm.
but he definitely gave the excuse of, I only had 3 weeks to write these jokes. They all can't be winners. Um, but yeah, there's just, I mean, again, it was all very much alluding to appearance. Like at one point he said a joke that was something along the lines of, um, uh, the pinnacle of the story, or was at the time where, Barbie had flat feet and bad hair and, saggy boobs or whatever. She said wrinkles. But, or as, agents like to call them, character actors. And like,
Wow.
I know, I,
Wow. Okay.
right. And it's just like, like that's it, sir. Like that is 100% why this damn movie was made, because it's supposed to be like, that's how you know, I don't want to say straight white man, because I think he might be Hispanic, but whatever. Straight man, world from your, perspective, like you just assume that everybody sees the world the way you do. Like, I hardly even notice a woman has boobs. Like, that's truly, like, someone, like, I would have friends who comment on, oh my God, I would hate, oh my God, her back must hurt. And I'd be like, what are you talking about? Oh, her boobs are so big. And I'd be like, I don't even notice. Like, I don't think about it. Like, it's just another person. Like, but I mean, I could see from a man's perspective, it's something new and different. So you don't see it. But anyways, it's just, he just really thought everybody would be on board with these like super sexist jokes, and they weren't, and I was happy about it. But like at the same time, why he would assume that everybody would like jump on
Uh,
board.
I mean, I get it. Comedians, they want to be on the edge. They want to, kind of not go over the line, but come right up to it and just right along that line. I get it, but you also have to be aware of what's going on around you too.
Ah,
And, I know that we purposely don't talk politics or anything like that on our shows. But we're still aware of what's going on. And
mhm.
especially what's going on with women's rights and stuff around the country, especially with, rights for their body and stuff. You know, you got to be aware of things before you do things,
Right. Yeah.
because your intention may be well, but if it lands the wrong way, it could do much more harm than you can imagine.
I mean, I really think the, I mean, a joke at anybody else's expense, like besides your own, is like just never a good idea. If
Well,
it's
it's just like when you go to a comedy. I'm not particularly fond of comedians that talk about people in the audience because they
right,
pay to see you. That's just me personally. You know what I
right.
mean? Now, you want to talk about people in general? Hey, cool, no problem. But when you start pointing out people in the audience, I've never been a fan of that at all. I
I
haven't been.
mean, see, and it truly depends for me. Like if someone's gonna make fun of like something the way someone looks or whatever, then I'm like, no, I'm not on board with that. But if they open up a conversation and they're
Hmm.
like, where are you from? And then the comedian can find the irony in what the person is saying. Or, I mean, there are certain things where I feel like, they're playing along together because the person then keeps talking and explains
Okay.
something.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like there are certain instances where I'm like, he's not making fun of you as a person. Like he's making fun of the situation, and he's making fun of, the irony of you, being here when you said you would, are gonna
Now that part is okay, but I have seen comedians personally make
mm,
jokes about people in the audience. You know what I mean?
yeah. I mean, yeah, it's just, I mean, you just never want to talk about, it's just not funny. Like I mean, really, at the end of the day, it's just not funny. It's not funny for people to hear even. Like you have to be a really specific type of person to think that being mean and like humiliating somebody is funny.
Yeah.
And like I would be very uncomfortable watching a comedian make fun of someone in a wheelchair. Like, you know, but but there are times where, I mean, I don't think I could ever do it as a comedian because I don't know if it would land well, but I think you could say something to someone in a wheelchair referencing that they're in a wheelchair and are not being like funny, or like not like they could be like, like, how many miles you got on that thing? Like talking in reference to his wheelchair, like not necessarily, how fast does that go? What's the mileage? Or what, how's that on gas? Like
Mhm.
certain goofy things you can say that's just not like straight up rude and demeaning, But I mean, it takes a very intelligent person to be a really good comedian.
Oh yeah.
Like,
I mean, besides the timing and stuff, I think it's also about reading your crowd too.
mm-hmm, yeah,
So, if someone goes, well, I can wheel this chair faster than you can walk or something like that, and they're kind of like poking fun at themselves,
mm-hmm,
then that's fine because he's opening up the door for you to have that dialogue, like you said.
yeah.
But it's kind of a really touchy thing, though.
You have to. I mean, you really have to toe the line. And I mean, I remember watching. I mean, it's ages ago. Um, when the comedians first came back on air after 9/11. Um, and I remember David Letterman just like he was, I mean, again, it was back to humor, but also recognizing the seriousness of it. And it just what he had said, it was something along the lines of, I loved how this like city came together, and everybody helped one another, and I wanted to go out there and help too, but apparently, no one had the need for a talk show host cowering under their desk. Like
Hmm.
it just again the humor of it coming back, like it's yes, you're making a joke about 9/11, and that is like scary, and you said some real things in there that are true, but then you wrapped it up with, something funny about you as this, scaredy cat who was hiding under his desk the whole time. But yeah, you have to be super intelligent to tell a good joke about a hard topic for
Yeah.
sure. But I don't know.
I'm kind of interested. This kind of falls along with the Barbie movie.
Mhm.
Have you seen the uproar right now? I guess because supposedly a lot of people feel that the movie Barbie got snubbed.
Yeah,
The director and the lead actress and everything. And I get why people are upset, but what people kind of forget too is the fans aren't the ones that's voting. It's actually other
right.
actors, producers, depending on what the field is. I just
Yeah.
want to find out from you, what do you think about that big
No, I
fiasco?
feel like anybody was snubbed. Like, yes, the social aspect of it, where it's, not recognizing what a phenomenal moneymaker this was, and not, and actually putting it in the same category as Oppenheimer who I don't know anybody who saw that damn movie, honestly. I don't know anybody who hasn't seen the Barbie movie for the most part. So I mean, it's put it in the same category just because it came out in the same week, and most people refusing to acknowledge that it totally blew it out of the water. It is the problem, and again, it is why the movie was made, but it wasn't made to just give awards to women because we were in a show and we exist and we made, I mean, I I as far as the criteria for the best director, I don't know what the criteria is.
Yeah.
And yes, I thought Barbie was phenomenal and like every like girls like fantasy of what a Barbie movie with in real life would be. But I mean, like storyline wise, I'm like, does the director really have much to do with the storyline, or should a writer have one? Or I know I don't think anything should be handed to anybody in that way. In America Ferrera is nominated best
Hmm.
supporting actress for an Oscar. So no, I'm okay with them just making a good ass movie. They don't need to win an award for it to be a good. I mean, it broke records. Like they're already in the history book right now.
I understand the message behind the movie, but I have to be honest. I was shocked at how much money that movie made. I was stunned at how much money that movie made.
I mean, and I just think it's I think people have underestimated, like just to start, how universal Barbie dolls were for
Sure.
like there really wasn't did not know a little girl growing up or even now who does not have at least one Barbie doll. Like, I mean, you can't really say that with many other toys.
Sure.
Like even
Sure.
super popular ones, even Winnie the Pooh Bear, like dolls or Mickey Mouse dolls. Like you could grow up in a house and not have one of those things, but it's so rare for a girl to grow up without having at least one Barbie doll. And and so I mean, I think it just also is nostalgic in that way. That I mean, even if it wasn't a serious movie about like attacking the patriarchy, I would have still went to see it because there's freaking Barbie. And who didn't love Barbie growing up? And I mean, the fact that it had like an actual, message and like actual storyline, and had fun music, like that was like bonus. But I would have went and seen it anyways,
Yeah.
honestly. But I mean, yeah, I mean, and that just goes. Women have money, like that's the thing. Like we have, like I know back in the day we weren't allowed to have our own credit cards, in like the early 70s, but like we have money to spend. So it's like if soon like the more things are made for us, the more money you're going to make. And that's
Hmm.
just evident of that. Like the fashion industry, even or the makeup industry, we hold up the makeup industry. I would say drag queens and women are the two, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the two biggest purchasers of makeup. We are hold up that whole industry. So to say like things, for things not to be made for us is just insane. Is absolutely insane. But it's hard to make something for us if you're not one of us.
Sure. Sure.
And it's hard. I mean, I'm sure it's similar with, people of color as well. Like I couldn't make something specifically for, people of color, black people who like you'd be like, what the fuck do you know? What do you know? And that's what I would say to you, trying to make it, this is you were like, this is Lawrence's product for every female. I'd be like, what do you know about what I want?
You're 100% right.
So
And the interesting thing is that if I was a betting man, I'm going to say there's going to be another Barbie movie coming out.
sure. Yeah. I would love to see a Skipper and a Stacy doll and a baby Kelly doll and yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Barbies have evolved over the years because, there's Barbies literally in every shade now, the
And
spectrum. And the one thing I do like is that over the years, Barbie has recognized that it's so important for a little girl to be seen and see themselves
mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
representation is so important.
It's huge. It's huge. I mean, and and I know I don't identify with that demographic necessarily because I'm like, uh, a white lady. But like, even just the fact that Barbie was blonde,
Yeah.
me having a brunette option was like, oh, it's like me. Like when I grew up, I could still be pretty. I don't have to be blonde to be pretty because here's this beautiful brunette doll. But I think that's how it goes. That like any other race or anybody again in a wheelchair or deaf or with something that makes them special, um, they need to know that like that's okay and that's beautiful too. So yeah, the fact that Barbie has evolved the way it has just been amazing.
Yeah, it's about transparency because I saw this one story on social media. Don't know if it was a made up or a real story,
Sure.
but basically it was the premises of a little blonde girl, a little blonde white girl, and she wanted to purchase a doll, and
Mm-hmm.
the doll was an African American doll.
Mm-hmm.
So as she's getting ready to check out, her mom took her to the cash register, and supposedly the cashier asked her, "So, are you sure you want that doll? Are you buying that for a friend of yours or as a gift?" And the little girl goes, "No, this is for me."
Mm-hmm.
And the lady, who's an older white lady, says, "Well, don't you want a doll that looks like you and kind of, like who you are?" She said, "Yeah. The doll that I have is a doctor. I want to be a doctor when I grow up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the doll uh has, I forgot what color clothes on. Well, I love, that's my favorite color as well."
Right.
And the moral of the story is that that little girl did not see color.
Yeah, she did see herself in that doll.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And the sad part about it, and I can say this because my son grew up in a very diverse neighborhood, and I can tell you, kids don't see color. They're taught that.
100%. Yes. And because I remember growing up, I had a doll and I had a cousin who lived in Detroit, happened to have the same doll, but had the black version.
Hmm.
I remember thinking not because like I saw it only because I didn't have any black dolls growing
Hmm.
up. And I only remember noting it just because it made me think like, well, I don't have any black dolls. Um, but I mean, and again, she was, a white girl, but it made me like think it's okay if I want one. That here's my cousin who's, white like me, who's got a brown doll, and that's okay. And like, so I made sure that when I started buying my daughter dolls that she had, like every race. Um,
Hmm.
but so yeah, even if you know, I mean, even someone seeing you embrace other things or other cultures, I mean, it inspires them to do the same. And like I said, I didn't think anything of it. I just was like, I don't have a black doll. And I just noted that in my brain. And I was like, well, I guess I could get one. She has one. Okay. But no, I agree that I mean, as far as color goes, like I mean, you recognize it as a fact. Like I know my skin does not look like your skin, but it's for there are so many other things that make us the freaking same that that is the silliest thing to focus on.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Oh, we get real deep. We get real deep here. I just want to talk about Barbie, man, and all this stuff. We're talking about skin color and sexism and patriarchy. Whew.
Hey, we like to get behind and bring out the backstory.
We do. We really like to, yeah. Oh, speaking of backstory, did you have something else you wanted to bring to the forefront with do you have a topic you want to throw at me or do you want me to go again?
It's up to you. I do have a topic, but I'll go ahead and let you go first.
No, you go ahead and go. You go ahead and go. I'll say mine.
Okay. Um, I recently just saw that Celine Gomez, you know who she is, right?
Hmm.
She showed a picture of herself years ago in a bathing suit versus now.
Hmm.
And there's a lot of women that are, basically showing that age is just a number and they're embracing that, meaning that it doesn't matter if they're 50, 60, 70, 80, they want to wear a bathing suit, great. If they want to wear a certain type of outfit,
Hmm.
cool. And you hear people say, well, you shouldn't dress so young, you should dress your age. And I guess from a man, I think that's kind of stupid because to me, there is no such thing as an ugly woman or ugly man.
Sure.
Now, I've had heated conversations with people about this, and it's like,
Yeah.
well, that doesn't make sense. I said, well, let me tell you why. If you put a man or woman in front of five people, they're gonna have five different opinions of that same person.
Hmm.
What may be beautiful to you may not be as beautiful to someone else, and vice versa. And that's okay.
Hmm. Agreed. Yeah.
And I think that if a person wants to embrace themselves and they want to put on something that they feel sexy, that
Mm.
they feel good about themselves, I think that's a great thing personally.
Of course. Yeah. No, I mean, I totally believe that age is just a number. And again, I'm always just diving back into the patriarchy thing. But listen, I feel like men's men don't usually have that same stipulation with their clothes. I think only because as soon as you're 20, you wear the same freaking thing until you're 90. It's the jeans and the sweatshirts and the ties, and the t-shirts. And it's really women have a lot of the hot pink colors, the mini skirts, the 4-inch heels, like I think we have the things that are more like this is a young woman's outfit versus, this is a tube top. This is a because most men's clothes pretty much cover them up the same no matter what they're wearing. Whereas, yeah, the less you wear, the younger that outfit is. So if you have a tank top, or a tube top and a mini skirt, like that's a young girl's outfit. So you at 50 put that on, who do you think you are? Um, but yeah, I mean, I think that's stupid and just wear whatever you want because we made up the rules and they don't exist.
And what's amazing is maybe not all the time, but the majority of the time, the people that have something to say are people that probably shouldn't be talking in the first place about someone, if you know what I mean.
Well, and I mean, and I think that so much of that is like that's a restriction they feel. They're
Hmm.
like, I'm too fat to wear that. So if I'm refusing to wear it and I want to because I'm too fat, you should refuse to wear it because you're too fat too. That I mean, I really think it's just projecting what they feel
Hmm.
about themselves, that they're pissed off that they've put a restriction on themselves. And and I guess yeah, deep down, no one wants anybody to think bad about them, but like I just would rather do what I want, and I want other people to just do what they want
Yeah.
than worry like, oh, they're gonna think I have cellulite or they I have wrinkles. Who cares?
The interesting thing about it to me, once you get at that point in your life
Mm-hmm.
where you just don't give a F, okay, I don't care. I don't give a damn what you think about me. I like this is what I'm wearing. Because
Mm-hmm.
like I go back to Lizzo,
Yeah.
okay, Lizzo is a thick woman.
Mm-hmm.
She's a very full figure woman, and guess what? She rocks the bathing suits.
Yeah.
And when I say bathing suits, she ain't not afraid to rock,
Wrong.
the real sexy stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, you got some people that talk crazy and all this. But guess what? There's a lot of people that find that sexy. And
Yeah.
guess what? Lizzo's like her attitude, and I embrace this is, you know what? This is who I am. Take it or leave it.
Right.
Once you get to that point about yourself, you're free.
You are so free. Yeah. And I mean, really, it's if you like it, if you wear it. If you like it, wear it. If you don't like it, don't wear it. If you
Hmm.
think that you would not be comfortable, in tight leather pants, then don't wear tight leather pants. But don't stop somebody else from doing it because you're uncomfortable. But yeah, I mean, as far as age, yeah, age is just a number. And again, it's all made up. It's all made up anyways. Like how we should be, 100 years ago, I couldn't have shown my ankles, so like, or I guess maybe now it's like 140 years ago or something, but like I would have to wear, 4 layers of clothing just to be able to leave the house. And it's all make believe anyways. So I don't want, you just don't need to be ruled by it.
That's true.
But okay, so have you heard this whole like scares the crap out of me? This whole Boeing 737 thing. You know what I'm saying? So they found, so I mean, I never heard the initial news story. So you might almost have to fill me in on that. That there was a Boeing 737 that did go down at one point, and that is what grounded a bunch of others, or there was like a scare midair and it almost went down.
Yep,
It was
I remember that. Yeah, basically, is I believe something happened. I don't know what because I caught the end of the story,
mhm,
and it was kind of on fire. So
in the air, right? But it was
in
a
the air. So
in
they
the
had to do an emergency landing. Yeah.
gas. And then so they grounded all of them,
Yep.
all of the Boeing 737s. And as they started inspecting them, they're noticing like whole rows of bolts not attached, like just missing off the plane.
And
And
and and the scary part is this is after, that door piece, blew off. So the timing really isn't the greatest for that to happen.
I mean, it's just you I just don't understand. Like, because I know that they have so many like stipulations and regulations they have to follow when creating them. I do not understand why all those regulations go out the window when it comes to maintaining them.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane. And I mean, because I do have like customers for our company make products for like aerospace and like Department of Defense, and like they have to track exactly what metals they put into something. Like they have to test the porosity. They have to have it like labeled what exact like heat and lot this metal came from. Like it's down. Like you have to know exactly it. But it's like then all of a sudden you can hire some jackass who forgets to put a row of bolts on the wing. Like that's these are like people's lives, like literally. And I just don't know how there could be such gaps. Like how, like, oh, I thought Steve was doing it. Oh, I thought Mark was doing it. I guess neither of us did it. Okay. Like,
Yeah, I
it's
mean, right now they're trying to figure out what's going on, and then you're starting to see the blame game coming on. Where Alaska Airlines is kind of pointing the finger at Boeing, and
mm-hmm.
Boeing is looking at things, and they're looking at how the planes were maintained as far as inspections. So it's like, okay, before we start getting into the blame game, let's figure out what happened where it doesn't happen again. Because I get it, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and you know, I mean, thank God we haven't had a plane go down, but literally, it just takes one catastrophe, and that whole industry will come to a screeching halt.
Rocked. Yeah, every time a plane goes down, a whole industry's rocked.
Yeah.
But I just and I read and I didn't know who asked for it, and I never got. I think it was Alaska Air, like because with the government or the FAA is what ordered these Boeing 737s to be grounded. Um, and I think it was Alaska Air who was asking the government for a reprieve or a I can't remember the word that was used, but basically to say, how about you just let us fly our Boeing 737s? Like to to get an excuse and to get out of it and be able and it's like you didn't know they're grounded because it's questionable if they work. Why are you putting profits over people's lives, your workers' lives, your customers' lives, like
Yeah.
that? It's just so, it's just, I don't know. I just don't know how
Well,
anybody make those decisions in
well,
good.
the sad part is, money generally is the first thing they think about big corporations.
Mhm,
And, an interesting fact, the plane that had that door piece, where the window was that blew off,
mhm,
that plane, I guess, I won't say had issues, but uh, I guess they ordered that plane not to fly over water
mm.
because there was something that was found on that plane. Wasn't disclosed, so I'm kind of a little scary about hearing that.
Yeah.
So I guess the theory is that by not going over water, if there's an issue, they can get to an airport. Well, if you don't feel safe flying it over water, why would you feel safe flying it over land? Maybe
Like,
it's just me.
like what is it about it that it can't go over water? Yeah. I mean, I'm
Because the only thing coming to mind when you say that is you're afraid this plane may go down. To me, that's what I'm thinking.
to me, I think, I mean, and again, I don't know anything about any of this because to me, I think like how your phone loses reception at the
Mm,
beach, your big bodies what, and I was like, maybe it was something to do with like the instrument were like, being away from land, the instruments wouldn't function. That's what my thought goes to, or like something is not functioning because of water being nearby. But either
yeah.
way, I don't even care. I want every freaking tray table functioning if I'm getting on that airplane. Like I don't care. I everything better be in tip top shape. I don't want a latch broken on the overhead compartment, let alone the instruments not being able to function over water. That's probably should be a red flag.
Yeah.
Big
I
red
know
flag.
one thing. If just imagine sitting in that row and having a big hole right next to you on the plane.
I
you
would,
probably you probably have to change your pants after that.
dude. Oh my god. I can't even imagine. Like I cannot even imagine. Like because I would just be like in the position. Like first, let's hope you were wearing your seatbelt because if not,
Yes.
your ass is just sucked right out.
Well, don't forget there was a young man. I want to say I don't know if he was sitting in that row or next to it, where literally the force ripped his shirt off and it went out that opening.
Not shocked. Yeah.
And thank God he had a seatbelt on because I think he probably would have went with the shirt. You
Yes.
know,
Yes. And like that's the like you just wouldn't know what to do. Like the terror of should I risk unbuckling just to run away from this open door? Like how long is my seat going the bolts going to hold my seat down? And then it's like just that terror of going, but if I unbuckle, I could get sucked out. But if I don't unbuckle, I could get sucked out with my chair. Like that
yeah.
is a real thought that like that poor guy had to think about. Like, what should I do next?
I gotta admit, I was very surprised at how calm the people were on that plane when they were showing the video. It
Yeah.
was pretty quiet, but I was like, wow, I was very
Yeah.
surprised.
Praying, Lawrence. Praying. That's why it was so quiet. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think also it really, I mean, I don't know, it's never happened to me before, but I've gotten the impression that far what you don't have to get too far away from the door for you to stop feeling that pull.
Yeah.
And so it's like maybe only like the first like couple rows of seats really were impacted by it. And then it's just like
Mhm.
the further away you get, you know, it's not as forceful. So it just they
I
may
mean,
not
the
even
good thing is that plane wasn't up very high because I believe it was right after takeoff. So
mm,
they weren't that high.
yeah.
Where I guess if it was at cruising altitude, it may have been a different story.
Yeah, I mean maybe could have sucked every seat out.
Yeah.
There is a there is a new movie and it does have an Oscar nomination and it is on Netflix. Where was it? Oh my gosh, it's called the Society of the Snow. Have you heard about that?
Oh no, I haven't.
I mean, I'm not sure exactly what it's about, but I feel like it reminds me of another movie that they made like in the early 90s about a plane crash in like Antarctica, or it wasn't Antarctica, but um and I think it's very similar to that, but it is on Netflix right now, and it's the Society of the Snow. Um it was an international film, and it was nominated for, I'm trying to find it right now on my computer. It was like nominated for like best international or something like that.
Mhm.
Um, but either way, just talking about this reminds me that we should watch it because that's supposed to be good. That's supposed to be good. And
Okay.
it's very appropriate with the whole Boeing thing going on.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely check that out.
Mm-hmm.
Can you believe it's been an hour now?
I know. Let us go. We had a lot to talk about.
That's
And I didn't
true.
even start to talk about Trump winning New Hampshire. I
Yeah.
know we didn't talk politics, but
You know what? We can dabble a little bit for a few minutes because the interesting thing to me about this whole thing, because I know there's a whole lot of people that say they don't want two old men, one
uh,
a kid. But to me, when you vote, at least for me, I've never ever voted for someone that I 100% liked because there's going to be something that you're not crazy about. And to me, sometimes I've even voted where it's kind of like the lesser of two evils to me.
most of the time that has been my vote. But there were Obama, I loved.
Yeah.
First time voting for Obama, my ass was 100%. Second time, but still voted for Obama. It was not 100% anymore, but it wasn't the lesser of two evils type of thing that I had to choose with Hillary versus Trump, that I'm going to have to choose with Biden versus Trump. Um, that I can't even remember previously who I had voted for election wise. I want to say it was like John Kerry and Bush might have been like my first election. I don't remember. Um, but someone or McCain and anyways, um, but no, I would say, but there were other people like if uh Bernie Sanders would have gotten the vote or gotten the nomination, 100% would have been so happy about him. I would have voted gleefully.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, the same with there is another lady who's kind of a little loopy, a little out there. Um, but I really like her. Her name is Marianne Williamson. Um,
Yes. Yes.
I
Yes. Yes.
love her. And if she would have gotten a Democratic nomination, I would have voted for her. I don't care if I was one of 15. Like I enthusiastically would have voted for her.
Mhm.
So yeah, this whole I just don't know. Because honestly, if that Nikki Haley would have won, she might have been. I am not Republican, but she may have ended up with my vote, honestly, because I am so distraught with this whole Gaza Biden thing that's going on right now that um I'm over it and I don't want to vote for him again, but I just might be
Yeah.
forced to it.
I mean, I think for me personally, um, I guess looking at it from my eyes, I don't like the fact of how divided this country is.
Mm-hmm.
I actually had a friend of mine, and granted, this is like 2 or 3 years ago, asked me, it was kind of a weird question. He's like, well, what news stations do you watch? I'm like, huh? No, I mean, which do you watch? So I was like, well, I watch, mostly CNN,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes in MSNBC.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're a liberal. I said, no, I'm American.
Yeah.
I said, believe it or not, I actually used to watch Fox TV. Fox really just turned the pivot and kind of went the direction they have over the last few years. They weren't always like that.
No, I know.
And
And
that's why a lot of people don't know the history. Just like even though I do like MSNBC, I can't watch them all the time too. I like CNN the best because they're more central.
Yeah,
And that's one thing I will say, CNN, yes, they will put heat on Republicans, but they'll put that same heat on Democrats. And what I
yeah,
like about that, that means they're doing their job. Period. They're doing their job.
yeah. I mean, I don't like the shit talking. I mean, is the only way to put it. But I don't like it really from either side. Like I don't like people picking apart politicians' personal lives. Like that
Yes.
just feels
Yes.
icky to me no matter what. So doing that on TV, as whether you're picking apart Trump, and I do not count his court cases as personal lives. I will tell you that much. Those that is character. That is who he is as a person. But as far as his wife's hasn't, his wife is an immigrant and she hadn't had to work a day in her life, and his kid's stupid and like stuff like that. Like I don't want to hear that. I
Yeah.
don't need to hear that. I don't need to hear your opinion about their personal life. Um, but yeah, I mean, as far just like I feel like with Biden's son getting in trouble, like I don't feel like that's really personal life either. That's like criminal activity that but then talking about his son's divorce or something, like yeah, that should be off limit. But
I mean,
no, it's
I agree with you on those points. The one thing I don't like is, the let's impeach Biden. And, to me, they're comparing it, well, they went after Trump. Yeah, there were reasons why they went after Trump. He was proven to do those things. And, I've heard people say, and I've even heard it on the view, and it's like, if you have some evidence against Biden, let's see it. If he's
mhm.
done something wrong, yes, he needs to be held accountable, but you can't weaponize politics. And that's what they're doing.
Yes. Yes, it used to be a big deal. Like I remember uh when Bill Clinton was impeached. It was an uproar. It was a big freaking deal, and it had been like 30 years since the last president had been impeached and what's going on, da, da, da. And so like again when Trump was impeached, it's because like it's a big deal what you're doing, like just being a constant like liar and um uh colluder and whatever, what he was, initially charged with. Um, like that's a big deal. But then just to go tit for tat, like, oh, will you impeach your president? No, I mean we're gonna impeach your president. Like you can't, he hasn't done anything. I mean, I don't know. Again,
Yeah.
war crimes, I guarantee war crimes have happened within the past few months in Palestine. And like, yeah, if we can do something about that and that's impeachable, then impeach the shit out of him. Fine. But like don't don't do it because you know we did it to you first. Like it was valid.
But
But
what's really scary to me about Trump, and I'm surprised this isn't getting more media coverage, is Trump said out loud what most people thought.
well,
Trump has said out loud that on his first day that he's going to go after political enemies.
mm-hmm,
I remember he was interviewed by someone on Fox. I forgot what his name was, and he asked, Trump. He said, "Well, I know a lot of people are saying that, you're going to be a dictator, you're going to abuse your powers and all that, and I'm going to ask you're not going to do that, right?" And what shocked me is when he said, "Well, only on the first day." That shocked the daylight. I mean, he literally said out loud what most people thought.
yeah,
He wants to be a dictator, and that's not me just saying it. He literally said it out loud.
yeah. And I mean, and I think honestly, like, and I've tried to actually cut this guy some slack in more instances. I definitely have said like, I think he thinks that's a joke with certain things or the way he phrases something. And then, it can get like misconstrued and like, oh, he meant he was saying this really. When I'm like, no, he just is actually really bad with words. And I don't think he was. intending to say that. That is what he said.
But you know what? I think he meant it because
Hmm.
what the commentator did is like, well, no, you don't really mean you're gonna break the law and you're gonna, do this and that. He said, no, yeah, I did mean that.
Hmm.
Just on the first date. I'm like, whoa. And
Yeah.
literally they basically threw him a lifeline to correct it. He's like, no, get that out of here.
Yeah.
No.
Now I'll swim. Yeah. That's yeah. And I mean, in that, and like, because I would think that maybe he was kidding. You would think. I mean, I didn't see that interview. That maybe it was the joke of like, well, I'm going to do it on the first day, but that's it. Like to be funny. But I mean, there are other times where, when he finally on January 6th finally said like on TV to the Proud Boys, stand down, stand by. And then everybody's like, he's telling them to stand by. And I remember thinking like, I I don't know, but I don't think he's meaning to tell them, I might tell you to attack still. I think he's just doesn't know what his words mean. Like I know that sounds crazy, but I've definitely met plenty of people who say shit and just talk and they don't really know what they're saying. And then it's just and I think that was one of the instances where it was like stand down, stand by, and he like and it got pushed that he was gonna give them orders still and they need to stand by, and he meant like just relax. And I mean he did Megan Kelly, he said she was moderating a debate and he thought that she was um picking on him. And so in an interview later, he's like, oh yeah, there's blood coming out of her eyes, coming out of her, wherever. And like, again, blood coming out of her wherever was like supposed to be a period joke. And I was like, I don't think that that's what he meant. I mean, I do think there is a degree of just totally misconstruing some of the things but that's me trying to throw him a lifeline also, because I'm like, you can't, not everything you say I don't think is intentional. I think he's a stupid piece of shit, but I don't.
But you know what? I can see your argument
Mhm.
if he didn't double down.
Right, right. Like in that, yeah, I believe you. Yeah. There are certain other times where I'm like, I don't know if he even knows what the hell he says sometimes. But again, that's probably not the type of person you want to have, I don't know, negotiating with leaders of other countries if you don't know what you're saying sometimes.
Mhm.
So, I mean, it's not like maybe I won't fault you in certain scenarios as a person, but like you should not be president if you can't control your mouth.
Yeah, I mean, in that type of position, not being able to control what you say or control your emotions can put us in wars, literally.
Put us in wars. Yeah, it absolutely will put us in wars. And I mean, I think that Biden has been the opposite.
Yeah.
Has had so much control over his emotions, his lack of empathy for Ukraine, his lack of empathy for Palestine. Like he's, lack of empathy for freaking kids that him and Obama put in cages at the border. Like they're just so much missing humanity from him that it's like I can't handle you either. Like I just let's get someone young who still has a soul.
Yeah. But I guess, I know people talk about, um, well, we need younger people in office or whatever, but, we can't discount the fact that, people voted Biden in and they knew how old he was when he voted in.
Mhm.
And I guess that's why we have a vice president. Because,
Right.
you hear people say, well, what if something happens to him? Well, there's a system already in place.
Yeah.
And, the reality is that, you know, is Biden perfect? Absolutely not.
Hmm.
I mean, I know speaking as an African American male, you know, sometimes we say to ourselves, especially as a person of color, it feels like Republican Party doesn't even want a person like me, but yet the Democratic Party pretty much only comes talk to me when it's time to come vote.
Vote. Hmm.
So, it's kind of like that, You
I
know what
mean,
I mean?
yes, and it's just, I mean, same thing with as being a female. Like
Hmm.
Obama could have codified abortion into the friggin' Constitution. He could have given me that permanent freedom, but he chose not to. Every president leading up has chosen not to. Every president
Hmm.
it would do something about it to ensure that this 3 week old fetus doesn't have more friggin' rights than I do.
Yeah.
And it hasn't. They've promised it every election. We're going to do something about that. We're going to do something. And never happens. It just they talk about it, but it's the opposite too, because they're the people who say we're going to ban it, we're going to ban it, and then they get into office and they don't really ban it either. It's just something to get the women listening.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think it's a little bit dangerous when you're making all these policies and you're not paying attention to, because let's face it, women is a very, very powerful, strong voting bloc.
Yes.
And, you know, to me, it's dangerous, regardless of whether you're Republican or Democrat, when you get to that point where you stop listening to your constituents, AKA the people who vote you in office.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, the government doesn't care whether it's Trump or Biden. They want one of those two because it doesn't make a difference. Nothing is changing with one of those two. And it's
Yeah.
like, I have to vote for one of them. Like there's no like coup that I could stage. I could not vote,
Yeah.
which is just as useless as voting for one of them. So
Yeah.
I'm
I mean, I guess, like, for me personally, regardless of who's on the ticket, I'm going to vote.
yeah, me too.
My reasons are very simple is, you know, I have people, ancestors who went through hell, and
Mhm.
some even lost their life for that privilege.
Mhm.
And I preach this into my son. You're not going to always have the perfect candidate. There is no such thing.
Yeah.
There's going to be every candidate that comes up is going to come with some type of baggage.
Mhm.
Some is going to have way more or way less than others, but there is no such thing as perfect.
Right. Yeah. And it's yeah, sometimes you just have to vote because you're free to do so and put you hope for the best.
Yep, yep, that
All
is
right,
so true.
Lawrence, we are 15 minutes over practically. Let's roll out.
Yeah, I hope everyone enjoyed this extended live that we did today.
Yes, we are back, ready for action.
Absolutely. Well, you enjoy the rest of your evening.
You as well, and I'll talk to you on the next thirsty topics.
Absolutely. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Go ahead.